The alien ships appeared in Earth's sky without warning. They were massive, sleek vessels that shimmered with strange colors humans had never seen before. The largest one positioned itself near Europa, one of Jupiter's moons where humans had built their first deep space colony. Within hours, every screen on Earth and its colonies displayed the same message in perfect English. We are the Zephyrian Collective. You will join us or you will be eliminated. Commander Aldrich Chen stood in the briefing room of the Mars Defense Station, staring at the image of the alien fleet. 60 ships, each one larger than Earth's biggest carrier. His hands were steady, but his mind raced. Humanity had always known this day might come. They had prepared for it. Just not this soon. The meeting took place on a neutral station that the aliens had built in just 3 hours. It floated between Earth and Mars, a perfect silver sphere that seemed to bend light around itself. Chen took a small shuttle with 5 other diplomats and military advisors. As they docked, the artificial gravity pulled them smoothly inside. The Zephyrian ambassador waited in a circular room with walls that showed the stars outside. His name was Krethnal, and he looked like a cross between a mantis and a lizard, standing 8 feet tall on 4 legs. His skin was covered in scales that changed color when he moved. A small device around his neck translated his clicking sounds into human speech. "Welcome, primitives," Krethnal said. The translator made his voice sound amused. "I am here to explain your options." Chen and his team sat in the chairs that had grown from the floor. Everything about this place was beyond human technology. Everything was designed to make them feel small and helpless. "The collective has existed for 12,000 of your years," Krethnal continued. "We are 12 species who have mastered the galaxy. We travel faster than light. We harness the power of stars. We shape planets to our will." He gestured at the walls and images appeared. Cities of crystal and light, ships that moved through folded space, weapons that could crack a moon in half. "And you?" Krethnal's scales shifted to a color that the translator interpreted as laughter. "You barely left your own planet. Your ships are slow. Your weapons are—" He paused as if searching for the right word. "Embarrassing." One of Chen's advisors, a young officer named Sarah Park, bristled. She opened her tablet and displayed humanity's military inventory. Railguns, missiles, nuclear warheads, kinetic weapons that fired solid metal at high speeds. Krethnal looked at the list. Then he made a sound like broken glass, which the translator rendered as laughter. "Ballistic weapons," he said. "You still throw rocks at your enemies? You use chemical explosions to push metal through space." His scales rippled with colors that seemed to indicate genuine disbelief. "Our ancestors abandoned such crude tools 10,000 years ago. Our shields stop solid matter with ease. Your bullets would bounce off our ships like raindrops." He walked around the table, his 4 legs clicking on the floor. "We use plasma cannons that turn matter into superheated gas. We use particle beams that erase molecular bonds. We use quantum disruptors that unmake reality itself." He stopped behind Chen. "And you? You load metal into tubes and light fires behind them." Chen remained calm. He had been in combat for 20 years, fighting pirates in the asteroid belt and putting down rebellions on the outer colonies. He had faced death before, but this was different. This was the survival of his entire species. "So here is our offer," Krethnal said, returning to his position at the head of the table. "You will dismantle your military. You will provide workers for our mining operations. You will give us your raw materials. You will learn your place in the collective as a labor class. In return, we will not exterminate you." "And if we refuse?" Chen asked. His voice was steady, neutral. Krethnal's scales turned a dark red color. "Then we will demonstrate the difference between your primitive weapons and our advanced technology. We will destroy your colonies. We will burn your cities. We will crack your homeworld's crust and boil its oceans. We have done this before to species who refused our generosity." He projected another image, a dead world, its surface glowing with residual heat, its atmosphere stripped away. This was the Kilrathi homeworld. They also used ballistic weapons. They also thought their primitive technology could stand against us. It took us 6 hours to end their civilization. Chen looked at the image for a long moment. Then he looked at each member of his team. They all knew what they had to do. Earth had prepared for this scenario. Project Achilles, they called it. The plan for fighting an enemy with superior technology. "We need 72 hours to consider your offer," Chen said. Krethnal's scales rippled with amusement again. "Of course. Take your time. Discuss it with your leaders." Calculate your odds. Come to the only logical conclusion. He gestured at the walls again, showing the positions of the Zephyrian fleet. We have nothing to hide from you. Our ships are here, here, and here. We are positioned at your L4 Lagrange point, a textbook strategic position, though I doubt your people understand orbital mechanics well enough to appreciate it. The display showed every ship, every weapon, every shield generator. The Zephyrians were so confident they were sharing their complete tactical layout. We will wait for your surrender, Krethnal said, or we will wait for your foolish attack. Either way, the result will be the same. Chen stood and bowed slightly. Thank you for your time, Ambassador. As the human delegation walked back to their shuttle, Sarah Park leaned close to Chen. Sir, they just gave us everything. Ship positions, weapon ranges, shield frequencies, everything. Chen nodded. They did. Because they think we're too primitive to use it. Back in the shuttle as they flew toward Mars, Chen activated the encrypted channel to Earth Command. This is Commander Chen. First contact complete. Enemy is overconfident. Recommend we proceed with Project Achilles. The response came back within seconds. Confirmed. You have operational authority. Show them what humanity truly is. Chen looked out the window at the Zephyrian fleet in the distance, their ships glowing with power. Then he looked at Earth, small and blue and beautiful. Somewhere down there, every factory was already converting to war production. Every ship was being retrofitted. Every soldier was being briefed. The Zephyrians had made a critical mistake. They had assumed that primitive weapons meant primitive thinking. They had assumed that simple technology meant simple strategy. They had assumed that humanity's short history in space meant humanity was new to warfare. They were wrong on all counts. Chen allowed himself a small smile. You've spent 10,000 years forgetting what warfare actually is, he said quietly to the distant alien fleet. We haven't. The 72 hours passed quickly. The Zephyrian fleet remained exactly where Krethnal had shown them, confident and waiting. War Master Thexion commanded the fleet from his flagship, a vessel called the Eternal Dawn. He had conquered 6 species in his lifetime. Humanity would be the 7th. Sir, the human fleet is approaching, his sensor officer reported. Thexion looked at the tactical display. 47 human ships emerged from behind Earth's moon. They were scattered, moving in no particular formation. Some were old military cruisers from Earth's early space program. Others looked like converted mining ships with weapons welded to their hulls. A few were clearly built for this battle, but even those looked crude compared to Zephyrian vessels. Pathetic, Thexion said. They dared to challenge us with that? He turned to his weapons officer. Power up all plasma cannons. Target the largest ships first. Make this quick. The human fleet continued its approach, but something was strange. They weren't moving in any coordinated pattern. Some ships accelerated while others slowed down. They spread out across a vast area of space, seemingly random in their positioning. Their power signatures were minimal, as if they were trying to hide. They're running scared already, one of Thexion's officers said. Should we pursue and finish them quickly? Thexion considered. No, hold position. Let them come to us. I want them to see the futility of their resistance. Aboard the human flagship, the UES Defiance, Admiral Chen watched his scattered fleet on his own displays. Everything was going exactly as planned. All ships, this is Defiance. Execute Phase 1 on my mark. He waited, counting seconds in his head. Mark. The human ships opened fire. Railguns hurled solid metal slugs at incredible speeds. Missiles streaked through space on trails of fire. Even a few old-fashioned torpedo tubes launched their payloads. It was humanity's best attempt at an assault. The Zephyrian shields absorbed everything. The metal slugs hit the energy barriers and vaporized. The missiles exploded harmlessly against the shields. Nothing got through. As expected, Thexion said. Return fire. The Zephyrian plasma cannon spoke. Bolts of superheated matter crossed the distance between the fleets in seconds. The first human ship, a converted mining vessel called the Beijing, took a direct hit. Its hull melted. Its reactor exploded. In 3 seconds, 200 crew members died. Then another ship died. Then another. The Zephyrian weapons were terrifyingly efficient. Each shot was calculated, precise, and deadly. Within the first hour, 8 human ships were destroyed. The remaining vessels continued their chaotic movements, firing weapons that did nothing. Sir, should we advance? The tactical officer asked. We can end this now. Thexion was about to agree when something caught his attention. The human ships had stopped firing at the Zephyrian vessels. Instead, they were shooting at empty space around the fleet. They released strange objects from their cargo bays. Clouds of small metal pieces, chunks of their own destroyed ships, frozen gases, garbage. What are they doing? The sensor officer asked. The debris spread out, creating expanding fields of obstacles around the Zephyrian fleet. But it was harmless. The shield stopped every piece, no matter how small. Some of the debris bounced off the shields and drifted away. Some of it vaporized on contact. They're desperate, Thexion decided. They're trying anything now. Advance the fleet. Let's finish this embarrassment. But the human ships kept moving, kept releasing more material, and they kept broadcasting on all frequencies. Radio signals, laser communications, everything. It seemed like random noise and chatter. Ships talking to each other about nothing important. Can you block their communications? Thexion asked. No need, sir. It's just distress signals and panic. They're asking for reinforcements that don't exist. The Zephyrian fleet moved forward, pushing through the debris fields with ease. Their shields handled everything. They targeted the remaining human ships ready to deliver the killing blow. That's when everything changed. Admiral Chen pressed a single button on his console. Detonate! The debris fields exploded. Thousands of small fusion devices, each hidden among the trash, detonated simultaneously. They weren't powerful enough to damage the Zephyrian shields. That wasn't their purpose. The electromagnetic pulses hit the Zephyrian sensors like a hammer. Every screen went white. Every detector overloaded. The radiation from the fusion blasts created interference patterns that blinded the fleet completely. The Zephyrians suddenly couldn't see anything. Sensors down. I can't see anything, the sensor officer shouted. Switch to backup systems, Thexion ordered. Backup systems are also blinded. The electromagnetic interference is too strong. The human ships had stopped broadcasting their positions seconds before the detonation. They had been using whisker lasers, tight beam communications that the Zephyrians never detected. Now in the sensor blackout, the humans knew exactly where they were and where the enemy was. But the Zephyrians were blind. All ships, execute Phase 2, Chen commanded calmly. The human fleet had never been running scared. Every ship had been positioning itself precisely. Now they struck. Railgun rounds came from unexpected angles using the debris clouds as cover. The Zephyrians had optimized their shields for frontal assault, never imagining an enemy would attack from above, below, and behind simultaneously. Some rounds found gaps in the shield coverage where the generators couldn't overlap. More critically, every shot the humans had fired in the first phase had been collecting data. Their computers had been analyzing the shield frequencies, the energy patterns, the refresh rates. Now they fired in calculated sequences, each round timed to arrive nanoseconds after the last. The shields couldn't refresh fast enough. The resonance built up. One shield generator overloaded. Then another. 3 Zephyrian ships went dark, their shields collapsing. Conventional missiles that had been worthless before now found their marks. Explosions blossomed against bare hulls. Shields down on the Morning Star, the Swift Justice, and the Divine Retribution. Someone shouted. Hull breaches on all 3. Thexion gripped his command chair. This couldn't be happening. The primitive species couldn't be winning. Get those sensors back online. Return fire. But they were firing blind, and the humans weren't where the Zephyrians expected them to be. Plasma bolts shot through empty space while human railguns continued their precise assault. All fleet retreat, Thexion finally ordered. Fall back to the rally point. The Zephyrian fleet tried to withdraw, but the humans had planned for that too. Mines that had been disguised as debris activated, forcing the aliens to take longer routes. Human ships harried their retreat, firing constantly. By the time the Zephyrian fleet escaped the battle zone, 9 ships were destroyed or crippled. The rest were damaged to varying degrees. The perfect, unblemished record of the collective had been broken. Aboard the Defiance, Chen surveyed the damage to his own fleet. 18 ships lost, nearly 3,000 crew members dead. But they had won. Against an enemy with superior technology, they had won. Sir, should we pursue? His tactical officer asked. Chen shook his head. No, we've made our point. Send recovery teams for survivors, both ours and theirs. He looked at the retreating alien fleet. They came here thinking they knew what war was. Today they learned differently. The emergency council meeting on Zephyrus Prime was unlike any in the collective's history. Representatives from all 12 species gathered in the Great Chamber, a room that had witnessed thousands of years of peaceful deliberation. Today, there was no peace. War Master Thexion stood before them, his body language showing shame. For the first time in collective history, a conquest fleet had retreated from a primitive species. 9 ships destroyed, he reported. 17 more damaged. 423 crew members dead, all from a species that still uses chemical propellants and solid projectiles. The council members reacted with anger, disbelief, and fear. Ambassador Crethanol, who had mocked humanity's weapons just days before, sat in silence. His scales had turned a dull gray color. "This is impossible," Council Leader Vexthar said. He was a tall, crystalline being who communicated through light pulses. "Our shields are designed to stop kinetic weapons. How did they penetrate?" "They didn't penetrate initially," Thexion explained. "They created an environment our technology couldn't handle. The debris fields generated electromagnetic interference that blinded our sensors. Then they attacked from angles our shields weren't optimized to protect. And their weapons fire was timed to create resonance cascades in our shield generators." A council member from the Vralic species stood. Her species looked like floating jellyfish with bioluminescent organs. "But that requires understanding our shield harmonics. How could they learn that so quickly?" "Every shot they fired in the first phase was gathering data," Thexion said. "They sacrificed 8 ships while their computers analyzed our defenses. Then they adapted their tactics in real time." The council chamber fell silent. Adaptation was supposed to be the collective's advantage. They had advanced AI, quantum computers, and 12 species worth of combined knowledge. Yet humanity had adapted faster in the middle of battle. "Request permission to speak," a voice said from the back of the chamber. Scholar Nixavel, a historian, approached the center. She was from the Thesian species, beings that looked like upright wolves with 6 eyes. "Speak," Vexthar granted. Nixavel activated a holographic display. "I have been studying humanity since our first contact. I believe we have made a critical error in understanding them." She showed images from Earth's history, battlefields filled with mud and blood, cities burning, weapons of terrible efficiency. "Humans have been at war continuously for their entire recorded history," she explained. "Not occasional wars like we have fought for territory or resources. Constant warfare. Generation after generation, they have killed each other with increasing efficiency." She showed more images. Ancient humans with stone weapons, medieval humans with swords and arrows, modern humans with machine guns and bombs, future humans with railguns and missiles. Every generation refines the art of killing. Their weapons aren't primitive. They're optimized through thousands of years of continuous testing in real combat. She paused. "When we call their weapons primitive, we mean they're simple. But simple is not the same as ineffective." Nixvel brought up a comparison chart. "Our plasma cannons require rare elements, complex maintenance, and specialized training. A human railgun can be built from common metals and magnets. It can be maintained by anyone with basic knowledge. It can be manufactured anywhere. When we destroy one railgun, they can build 10 more in the time it takes us to repair our plasma cannon." "So what?" another council member challenged. "Our shields stop their weapons. Do they?" Nixavel asked. "In this battle, our shields failed. We have fought dozens of species with kinetic weapons. All of them attacked us head-on, trying to overpower our defenses. Humans did something different. They changed the battlefield itself." She showed tactical analysis of the battle. "They didn't try to be better than us. They tried to make us worse. The electromagnetic interference, the debris fields, the multi-angle attacks. They reduced the battle to chaos, and in chaos our superior technology became a disadvantage because it's too complex." Nixavel brought up more disturbing information. "But the technology is not what frightens me most. It's their mindset." She showed footage from human history, soldiers charging into certain death, pilots crashing their planes into enemy ships, scientists developing weapons that could destroy their own world. They have a concept called mutually assured destruction. During their Cold War period, 2 human nations built enough nuclear weapons to end all life on Earth. They both knew that using these weapons would kill everyone, including themselves. And they still built them. And they still aim them at each other for decades. The council members stirred uncomfortably. "They will sacrifice everything to deny their enemy victory," Nixavel continued. "They have words for this. Pyrrhic victory, scorched earth, no surrender. These are not just phrases. These are doctrines they have followed throughout their history." She showed more data. Guerrilla warfare tactics, Suicide missions, false flag operations, terrorism, propaganda, psychological warfare. Humans had developed every possible way to fight an enemy, even when outmatched. We have conquered species by demonstrating superior power, Nixavel said. They surrender when the cost becomes too high. But humans have a different calculation. They don't ask, can we win? They ask, can we make them lose? And they're willing to pay any price for that. Ambassador Crethenel finally spoke. His voice was quiet, defeated. I gave them our complete fleet positions. I showed them our weapons. I told them our ultimatum. I followed every protocol of civilized warfare. He looked at the council. They were never going to follow any protocols. They don't fight civilized wars. They fight to win. And if they can't win, they fight to make sure we lose. Every piece of information I gave them was a weapon they used against us. Vexthar's light pulses flickered with concern. What are you saying? That we should retreat? Abandon this conquest? I'm saying we need to reconsider what we're dealing with, Crethenal said. Every species we've conquered has been peaceful for centuries before we arrived. Their military was ceremonial, their weapons outdated from lack of use. But humans? They've never stopped fighting. Not for a single generation, Nixvel added more context. Their entertainment media is filled with war stories. Their children play strategic games. Their sports are simulated combat. War is woven into their culture at every level. When we arrived, we didn't interrupt their peace. We just gave them a new enemy to study. So what do you recommend? Vexthar asked. We have 3 options, Nixavel said. 1, commit our full armada. Every ship, every weapon, every resource. Overwhelm them with numbers. And the risk? Vexthar prompted. They will make it cost us. Even if we win, we may lose so much that we're vulnerable to other threats. And there's no guarantee we win. They're already adapting to our technology. Option 2, Vexthar asked. Negotiate peace. Offer them equal status in the collective. Learn from them instead of trying to conquer them. Several council members objected loudly to this. The collective did not negotiate with primitives. And option 3, Vexthar asked, though his light pulses suggested he already knew. Leave, Nixavel said simply. Mark their space as restricted. Never return. Let them develop on their own. Hope they forget about us. The council argued for hours. Some wanted immediate retaliation. Others wanted to sue for peace. A few wanted to withdraw and pretend humanity didn't exist. Finally, Vexthar made a decision. We will negotiate, but we will also prepare our full military force, send envoys to humanity with an offer of peace talks, position our armada just outside their space as deterrents. If they reject peace, we will show them what happens when the collective truly wages war. The council agreed, though none of them felt confident. They had spent thousands of years as the dominant power in this region of space. Now a species that still used bullets and bombs had shaken that dominance with a single battle. As the council dispersed, Nixavel approached Crethenal. You asked them what they truly were. I think we're about to find out. Crethenal's scales rippled with colors that translated to deep unease. That's what I'm afraid of. The neutral station appeared at the edge of human space exactly 1 week after the battle. It was smaller than the first meeting place, deliberately so. The collective wanted to appear less threatening this time, but 300 Zephyrian warships waited just beyond the system's edge, visible on every telescope and sensor. The message was clear. We come in peace, but we're ready for war. Admiral Chen, promoted after his victory, led the human delegation again. With him were President Martinez of the United Earth Government, General Okonkwo of Earth Defense Force, and Dr. Sarah Park, now his chief tactical advisor. They took the same shuttle as before, but this time, everyone in the galaxy knew humanity was not helpless. High Chancellor Vexthar waited in the meeting room. His crystalline body pulsed with carefully neutral colors. Scholar Nixavel stood beside him along with Ambassador Crethenal, who had specifically requested to be present despite his previous failure. Admiral Chen, Vexthar said, his translator converting his light pulses to sound. President Martinez, thank you for agreeing to meet with us. Thank you for asking instead of demanding, President Martinez replied. She was a small woman in her 60s, but her voice carried the weight of 8 billion people behind it. They all sat at a circular table that appeared from the floor. This time there was no display of collective superiority, no demonstrations of advanced technology, no mocking of human capabilities. We have come to discuss terms, Vexthar said. The collective wishes to avoid further conflict. Because you think you'll lose? General Okonkwo asked bluntly. He was a massive man with scars from the asteroid belt conflicts. Because war serves neither of us, Vexthar replied diplomatically. But the truth was in his hesitation. Yes, they thought they might lose. Admiral Chen activated his tablet. Before we discuss terms, I need to show you something. He projected an image into the center of the table. It was a data stream, complex and highly encrypted. Do you recognize this? Scholar Nixvel leaned forward, her 6 eyes widening. That's collective deep space communication protocol. That's from our scout ships. Specifically from your scout ships that passed through our solar system 8 months before your first contact, Chen said calmly. We detected them. We tracked them. We intercepted their communications. The revelation hit the collective delegates like a physical blow. Krethnal's scales turned white. Vexthar's light pulses flickered erratically. We knew you were coming, President Martinez said. We had 8 months to prepare. Every deployment, every weapon, every tactic in that first battle was planned. We appeared primitive because we wanted you to think we were primitive. Chen brought up more data. Intercepted communications. Decoded tactical reports. Complete specifications of collective technology gathered from the scout ship's transmissions. Your scouts sent back everything about your fleet, your weapons, your shields. We studied all of it. Impossible, Krethnal whispered. Our encryption is unbreakable. Dr. Park smiled. We've been breaking codes for thousands of years. It's what we do. During World War II, humans broke the Enigma code. During the Cold War, we broke Soviet encryption. When we reached space, we kept that tradition alive. She leaned forward. Your encryption was sophisticated. It took us 3 months to crack it. But we had 5 months after that to prepare. Chen showed more images. Human factories converted to wartime production. Shipyards working around the clock. Weapons testing. Tactical simulations. While you were laughing at our primitive weapons, we were building thousands more of them. While you were mocking our chemical propellants, we were stockpiling them. While you were preparing a simple conquest, we were preparing for total war. He brought up the current status of human military forces. The collective delegates stared at the numbers in horror. In the 3 months since first contact, humanity had built over 2,000 ships. Not sophisticated vessels like the collective made, but simple, functional warships that could be produced quickly and cheaply. How? Vexthar's colors showed genuine shock. We build perhaps 200 ships per year across our entire collective. Because our ships are simple, General Okonkwo explained. A human warship is a railgun attached to an engine with a crew compartment. That's it. We can build one in a week. You need months to construct your sophisticated vessels with their complex systems. President Martinez stood and walked around the table. You asked us to surrender. You threatened to destroy our world. You gave us 72 hours to accept extinction or slavery. Her voice was hard now, so we chose a third option. We chose to make you afraid of us. Chen brought up historical footage from Earth, ancient armies clashing with bronze weapons, medieval castles under siege, World War I trenches, World War II bombers, the Vietnam War, the Middle Eastern conflicts, the Martian Rebellion. Humanity's complete military history played out before the collective delegates. We have been at war for 10,000 years, Chen said. Not occasionally. Not when necessary, constantly. We have refined warfare into both art and science. We have studied every possible way to kill, to survive, to win, and to make our enemies lose even when we can't win. He stopped the footage on an image of a nuclear explosion. We built weapons that could end our own species. We aimed them at ourselves. We came within minutes of using them multiple times. And yet we survived. We learned. We adapted. We became very, very good at war. Scholar Nixvel spoke quietly. I told the council this. They didn't want to believe it. Your technology is better than ours, President Martinez acknowledged. Your shields are stronger. Your weapons more powerful. Your ships faster, she paused. But you've forgotten something important. Technology doesn't win wars. People do. Strategy does. Will does. Chen showed tactical analysis of the first battle. You positioned your fleet at the L4 Lagrange point. Textbook tactics. Perfect strategic position. Completely predictable, he smiled. We knew exactly where you would be because you followed your doctrine. You always follow your doctrine. That's how civilized species fight wars. We don't have doctrine the way you do, Dr. Park added. We have principles. We have tactics, but we adapt constantly. Every human commander studies history and learns from 1,000 different strategies. Sun Tzu, Clausewitz, Rommel, Hannibal, Alexander, we learn from all of them, and we learn from our enemies too. General Okonkwo brought up the specifications of the human fleet. You mocked our ballistic weapons. You called them primitive. But they work anywhere. They can be built by anyone with basic industrial capacity. They don't need rare elements or complex manufacturing. When you destroy one railgun, we build 10 more. When you destroy one ship, we build 20 more. You can't win a war of attrition against us because we can replace our losses faster than you can. We're also willing to pay a higher price, President Martinez said coldly. In that first battle, we lost 18 ships and 3,000 people. You lost 9 ships and 400 people, but we're willing to accept that ratio, are you? Because we have billions of people ready to replace our losses. How many can you afford to lose? The collective delegates sat in stunned silence. They had come here to offer generous peace terms, believing humanity would be grateful to avoid destruction. Instead, they were being shown that humanity had planned for this confrontation from the beginning. Every casualty had been calculated. Every tactic had been prepared. Every outcome had been war-gamed. So here are our terms, Admiral Chen said. Equal status in the collective. Full technology exchange. Mutual defense pact. And you never threaten Earth or any human colony again. And if we refuse? Vexthar asked. Though his light pulses showed he already knew the answer was something terrible. President Martinez looked at each delegate in turn. Then we fight. And we will lose. Our technology is inferior. Our ships are slower. Our weapons are less powerful. We will lose. She leaned on the table. But before we lose, we will cost you everything. We will destroy your fleets. We will invade your worlds. We will make every inch of space between our territories a graveyard. And when you finally beat us, you'll be so weak that every other species in the galaxy will see you're vulnerable. The silence stretched for a full minute. Or, Chen said more softly, you accept that we're not the primitives you thought we were. You accept that we've earned respect through combat, and we move forward as allies instead of enemies. Vexithar's colors shifted through a spectrum that showed deep thought. Finally, he pulsed a steady blue. We accept your terms. The treaty was signed aboard the neutral station 3 days later. Representatives from all 12 collective species witnessed as President Martinez and High Chancellor Vexthar marked the document that would change the galaxy forever. Humanity was now an equal member of the collective, the first species to earn that status through military force rather than technological advancement. But the ceremony was just theater. The real meeting happened afterward, in a private room where only Admiral Chen, Scholar Nixvel, and Ambassador Krethnal gathered. I need to know something, Nixvel said. Her 6 eyes focused intently on Chen. The data you showed us, the intercepted communications from our scout ships, was it real? Chen smiled slightly. The communications were real. We did detect your scouts. We did intercept some of their transmissions. Some. Krethnal's scales shifted colors with suspicion. We decoded about 30% of your communications, Chen admitted. The rest we couldn't break in time. But it was enough to know you were coming. Enough to know you had shields. Enough to know you liked to position fleets at Lagrange points. He paused. The rest we guessed. Or we made it look like we knew more than we did. Nixvel made a sound that the translator rendered as laughter. Psychological warfare. You bluffed. Not entirely, Chen said. We did know you were coming. We did prepare. But yes, we exaggerated how much we knew to make you think you'd already lost the intelligence war. And the production numbers? Krethnal asked. The thousands of ships you claim to have built? We built about 800 in 3 months, Chen said. Still impressive by our standards. The rest were projections of what we could build if we needed to. We showed you our maximum capacity and implied it was our current capacity. Nixvel's eyes gleamed with something like respect. You lied. You made us think you were stronger than you are. We made you uncertain, Chen corrected. In warfare, uncertainty is a weapon. You came here confident you could beat us. After one battle, you weren't sure anymore. After our presentation, you had to calculate whether you could afford to find out. But why tell us now? Krethnal asked. Why reveal your deception? Chen stood and walked to the window showing the stars. Because we want peace. Real peace. Not peace built on fear and lies, he turned back to them. The collective will eventually figure out we exaggerated. Your intelligence services will discover the truth. When that happens, I don't want you to think we were trying to trick you into a treaty we'd break later. You're trusting us with this? Nixavel asked. After we came to conquer you? I'm trusting you because you're scientists and diplomats, not warmongers, Chen replied. War Master Thexion wanted conquest. You wanted understanding. There's a difference. Nixavel was quiet for a moment. Then she said, I studied your species extensively. I need to tell you something I found. She activated her own display, showing human history again, but this time she focused on different images. Humans helping each other after disasters, doctors treating wounded enemies, soldiers sharing food with starving children, peace treaties and alliance, the United Nations, the Mars Accords, humanity reaching for the stars together. Your capacity for violence is terrifying, she said. But what frightened me more was your capacity for compassion. You are capable of terrible cruelty, but you choose mercy. You can destroy completely, but you choose to build. You've developed weapons that could end worlds, and then you chose not to use them. She looked at Chen directly. A species that is only violent is predictable. A species that is only peaceful is vulnerable. But a species that can be both, that chooses which to be in any moment, that's the most dangerous thing in the galaxy. Is that a compliment or a warning? Chen asked. Both, Nixavel said. You've earned our respect. But you've also shown us what you're capable of. The collective will remember that humanity is not to be underestimated. Krethnal spoke up, his scales showing colors of remorse. I mocked your weapons. I called you primitive. I was arrogant. He looked at Chen. I apologize. Apology accepted, Chen said. But understand something. Our weapons are primitive. You were right about that. A railgun is just metal and magnets. A missile is just fuel and explosives. They're simple, crude, and basic, he smiled. But that's the point. We learned thousands of years ago that the best weapons are the ones that work when everything else fails. Complexity breaks down. Sophistication requires maintenance. High technology needs resources. But a simple weapon just needs someone willing to use it. Is that a human philosophy? Nixavel asked. It's a survival philosophy, Chen replied. We didn't develop on a kind world. Earth has storms, earthquakes, volcanoes, diseases, predators, and harsh climates. We survived by being adaptable, by using whatever we had available, by never relying on one solution when we could have many backup plans. He gestured at the collective ships visible through the window. Your species developed on gentler worlds. You had time to perfect your technology. You built wonders. But you never had to fight the way we did. You never had to choose between evolving or dying. And that made you stronger, Krethnal said quietly. Not stronger. Different, Chen corrected. Your technology is better. Your science is more advanced. Your society is more peaceful. Those are strengths we don't have. He paused. But we have strengths you don't have. Resilience, adaptability, the willingness to use any tactic, any strategy, any weapon to survive. Nixavel deactivated her display. So what happens now? Do we share technology? Learn from each other? That's the idea, Chen said. You teach us how to build better shields and faster ships. We teach you how to fight wars you never imagined. You show us the wonders you've created in peace. We show you how to protect those wonders from those who would take them. A partnership, Krethnal said. An alliance, Chen agreed. Not because we're the same, but because we're different. Your strengths cover our weaknesses. Our strengths cover yours. A message came through on Chen's communicator. He checked it and smiled. The Collective Council has ratified the treaty. It's official. Humanity is part of the collective now. Equal members, Nixavel confirmed. The first species to ever force that status through military victory. The historical precedent alone will echo through the galaxy for centuries. Good, Chen said. Let it be known that Earth doesn't accept subjugation. Let every species in the galaxy know that humanity fights for its freedom, but also let them know that we're willing to be friends with those who treat us as equals. As they prepared to leave the station, Nixavel sent Chen a private message on a secure channel. He read it and looked at her questioningly. Just something I wanted you to know, she said. In private? From one scholar to another. Chen read the message again. In all my years studying alien species, I have learned one universal truth. The most dangerous beings are not those who know only war or only peace. They are those who understand both deeply and can choose between them freely. Your species terrifies me, Admiral Chen, because you have known such terrible wars that you understand peace's true value. You could choose cruelty, but you choose mercy. You could choose destruction, but you choose creation. That makes you unpredictable. That makes you powerful. But most importantly, that makes you something the galaxy has never seen before. A species that could become either its greatest threat or its greatest hope. I believe you will choose to be the latter. I hope I'm right. Chen deleted the message and looked out at Earth, visible as a blue dot in the distance. 8 billion people down there, going about their lives not knowing how close they had come to extinction, not knowing that their primitive weapons and crude tactics had just changed the balance of power in the galaxy. You're right, he whispered to himself, answering Nixvel's message. We will choose hope, but we'll never forget how to choose the other option if we need to. The shuttle departed from the station, carrying the human delegation back to Earth. Behind them, the collective fleet began its journey home, no longer conquerors but allies. Above them, the stars shone with the same light they always had, but the galaxy itself had changed. Humanity had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same. Years later, students across the collective would study the first human collective war as a lesson in the dangers of underestimating an enemy. They would analyze the tactics, debate the strategies, and discuss the cultural differences that led to the collective's defeat. But more importantly, they would learn about the species that fought with primitive weapons and won through superior strategy. They would learn about humanity's long history of warfare and its equally long history of peace. They would learn that technology alone doesn't determine victory, and that the species you mock today might be the species you respect tomorrow. Ambassador Krethnal would later write a book about his experience titled The Day We Met Humanity. In it, he would conclude, "We came to Earth expecting to find primitives using crude weapons. We found warriors using optimized tools. We expected easy conquest. We found determined resistance. We expected grateful surrender. We found proud defiance. We were wrong about everything except one thing. Their weapons were primitive. But primitive does not mean ineffective. Sometimes the simplest solution is the best one. Sometimes the old ways are old because they work." Humanity taught us that lesson at great cost. May we never forget it. The book became required reading in collective military academies, and every cadet who read it learned the same lesson. Never underestimate an enemy based on their technology. Never assume you know everything about warfare, and never ever mock humanity's weapons, because humans don't just use weapons. They understand them. They optimize them. They master them through millennia of practice. And that makes all the difference.